Gundam.tk presents Gundam F90 Type A.D.S. Hey, what's up again everybody? Robert184 Gundam.tk. The F90 is a relatively unknown suit, so I've already had a history lesson and now it's time to continue the unboxing and introduction before this kit, old school 1990 kit, gets put together, and just let's see how it stacks up compared to newer ones. Even with all the Gundam kits that I've built, this B plate here is one of the most interesting ones I've ever seen, and I don't know why, but it reminds me of a Pac-Man arcade game. You can see here that Bandai put in the white, the red, the blue, and the yellow, and it all courses through here, even so far as to have three little yellow parts down there on top of the white legs. The chest is looking good with three colors, and the one that I had to laugh at is there on the head. You've got this little tiny part of the goatee, but they didn't go as far as putting it into the eyes. And this V-fin with white and yellow, even today in 2011, Bandai often skips that out and just gives you seals to make up stuff like that, with the high-grade 00, for example. For a closer look, there is the V-fin. You can see the way the yellow just goes in on the side, and down here you can see that obviously their machines have come a long way because you don't often get ugly parts like that. And on the back, you'll see that the red just goes inside and splatters all over the place, but enough comes through to the front. Same with the yellow there. These yellow parts, there are no other yellow parts on the plates, so these are going to be the only ones that you'll see. And here it's cool the way all the pipes run into there to get that red and yellow. And on the inside again, you just see that big ugly blotch of yellow and red. Down below, similar thing here on the front, on the back, but on the front it actually comes across as looking very good with those yellow parts sticking out perfectly and the red part having some nice details and opportunities for lining. On to the A plate, which is a massive plate in comparison in the size just to this B plate here. And you'll notice that it's going to have a lot of big parts here for the variations, for the legs and for the backpack. Disappointing part here that you're going to have these bazooka looking things, and they are actually supposed to be gray, which is something that they could have just gone on a gray plate, but instead something you're either going to have to put up with blue or paint. The C plate is back to normal size with all the rest of the parts that you're going to need for the body, including the back of the helmet, waist sections there, all the things that you're going to need for the front armor, and a massive shield that's one piece. Looks like most of this is going to be covered up with seals, not with actual plastic parts. It seems like Bandai took a bit of a whimsical approach to this. With this plate, in addition to being the D plate, it actually says on their F90 D type, which will come into play with the later plates. This is going to be your gray stuff with a lot of the military looking things. Good to see this kind of Gatling gun actually done in gray. Again, it would have been nice if that bazooka was on there, but I guess it doesn't fit the theme of this being the plate for the D type. A small plate for E wraps up the blue with the back of the body and the parts that you're going to need for the feet. And hopefully these little parts are going to fit on and cover up some of the hard points and look good. A very different shade of gray here on the F plate compared to the D plate, which you can see is a lot darker. You're going to have the beam rifle, very small manipulators it looks like, and I suppose what you could call an inner frame back in 1990. It's another massive plate here for the S type, and this is going to give you some military green, which is something you don't see too often outside of some kits like the Full Armor Gundam. So you're going to have all sorts of variations. The weapons are again going to be in green. I don't know if they should be. You have to look at the box more carefully. But some of the parts, like these ones here, are looking very good with a fair amount of detail, despite the fact that this kit is so old. The extras that you're going to get include gray poly caps here, PC106G, and you're going to be getting these custom beam sabers. It actually says 1/100th Gundam F90, and that's the H plate with two beam sabers, and most importantly, the I parts, which were made in clear parts even back in the day, and the pointers that I've been using for this. You're going to get two springs, which are actually going to look pretty cool, it seems, from the box when you put together the S type. But when it comes to looking at this seal sheet, that's when I start to get really worried, just because how much this is relying on seals to bring out the color, which means that the plastic, despite having a ton of different colors in those plates, obviously isn't going to be enough. Now you've got some red and yellow triangles all over the place, gray parts, white parts down there. Looks like these parts here are going to go on the hard points. The shield is actually made up of 4 big stickers there. Well, a small one, of course, up at the top. And otherwise, all of these little details are not going to be brought out in plastic, but hopefully these seals stay on and actually do a good job without taking away from the overall body design. And in the end, what can I say? It's hard to argue with that font. The manual has some pretty cool art showing it in its D-type mode. Again, the same information we've seen It's easiest to go to the back here, and this is where it's going to show off the hard points. And you'll see it's got 2 on the shoulders, 2 on the forearms, 2 down there on the front skirts, it's got 2 on the side skirts, 2 on the legs, and then you've got a weapon rack there, and then you do have another point on the backpack. So it's pretty cool that you do have the 11 hard points to put on all these different parts to your heart's content. So here you've got the A type, the assault type, the destroy type, and the support type. Again, it's very cool to see this kind of old school line art actually come to life in 3D model form. Going inside the manual, and you're going to get a whole bunch of story information and some cool looking art of the F90, although it really looks more actually like it's done like the Penelope or the Kusui here in this art. Anyway, in Universal Century, the year 120, and they go on to say after all the piece, here's the main characters. You're going to have Def, Sid, you're going to have Navi, and Bosch, who ends up being the Oldsmobile Army, which is part of the Mars Liberation Front or Independence Army. And basically you can just think that they're Xeon remnants. So in the end, you're going to have Def, who takes the F90, up against Bosch, who takes the other F90, paints it red, and yes, we get to see the old Gundam white versus red played out one more time. More very cool line art, and they talk about the new formula, which leads into the whole F90, F91, and Silhouette Formula 91 kind of thing that you'll see. It shows the F90 looking very different from what you see in the rest of the art, but down here you can start to see a Zaku 2, and you've got the Sazabi, and then you've got a very tiny 1/144th looking kit, but it's actually 1/100th scale of the F90 itself. And I don't think I mentioned the specific height, but it's actually only got a head height of 14.8 meters, which is going to make this, I believe, one of the smallest Gundams that there are. Like I said, you've already seen in Wing and G and X that they were pretty small, but none were quite this small, well, except for, I guess, the F91. Of course, it was designed, the reason they shrunk it down is so that it's got a lot less weight, which means it should have a lot more speed, which means even whether you're using the A, the D, or whatever type, you can go ready to war. Inside you can see that after they show off the support type, they start to lead in. This is pretty much all build up for F91, and you can go read all about the history of that and how that movie ended up making. They talk about all the different weapons that you're going to put on. Sort of cool that they do it in English. They show off the hard points and what you get where. But once you get into the manual, you start to see just how old school some of these things are. You're talking about big, wide open spaces. Sometimes down here, things are not clearly laid out. You have to be very careful with this because they do tell you to put the stickers on here sometimes, but there are other places in the end where they tell you to put on more stickers, and this kit, as you saw, has a lot. Lots of colors so far in this kit and lots of line art, so it's going to show off the regular one, the D, the A, and the S type, and this is where you get the color guide. They basically tell you that you're supposed to have the second main color and the third main color, and what color that should be, and then they go and just tell you on here. You'd think they could just tell you blue, but no, they tell you main color 2 when you're actually trying to get your painting guide. Nowhere near as user-friendly as newer manuals. Moving through, you'll notice that it didn't take very long to build the Gundam after you build the legs and the chest. Basically, you just put it all together, the shield, very few parts, along with the head, put the body together, and then add on the skirts. But then, you're pretty much going to spend the rest of your time and the rest of the manual building up all the stuff you need for the A.D.S. Now, once you get here to the end, it's going to show you how to actually put the weapons on here. And again, this is where you can see a lot of the sticker and seal information. So you're going to have to be looking in two places, and you will have some leftover stickers at the end, and you'll be wondering where they go. You're going to have to check all over to find it. And here's a list of the plates. Again, you'll notice that big A plate and everything here, and the big S plate. Very frustrating the way they chose to lay these out. Now, as you saw, the F90 was designed to come out. It could have come out all on its own because everything you need for the Gundam is on the earlier plates, including that very snazzy looking B plate, which actually plays a big part in the F90 Type 2, where all they pretty much did is change the B plate, which changes the chest. However, what you're going to get here is, because they wanted to be able to put out the other types like the L and the P, basically they put out a plate for each color for each variation. However, that means that there are some white there are parts that should be white that aren't included on the main plates for the F90 because they wanted to have them specific so that if you get the S plate, it has everything you need for the S type. But unfortunately, they went for the types instead of the colors, which means you're going to have to do some painting to fix this up and try to make it look a little less 1990-ish. That's going to wrap up my introduction and unboxing of the F90. There's certainly lots of interesting things for me to look at just because It's neat to see the old way. I've seen with the Victory Gundams, the way that they molded some parts, the same part from multiple injections, so you're getting different colors in there. It's so cool to see that they did that in the old days, and you wonder why that dropped out. It's sort of frustrating the way they chose to go with the plate system here. It's really not done well if you want to just build something quick and easy out of the box. But you can understand what they were doing. The F90 is the F90, but whatever type you want, all they had to do was add some plates in that right color, and especially in the theme, of course, the A's being theme that it's all blue. Would have been nice if they had done things differently, but again, that is what paint is all about. Well, why don't you let me know what you think about the manga if you've read it, or the mobile suit, or the video itself, and I'd always love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned to see all of the many parts of this kit and its 3 types before it all gets put together, and let's see just how much space it takes up on the shelf. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya.